Hello, my fellow nerds, and thanks again for watching another episode of Nerdboy Gaming. I am Nerdboy81. Well, we are only a couple weeks away from the official drop of Lost Colony for Ark Survival Ascended, and I have a big question to ask. Will this DLC, this new map, this new gameplay revive or even save Ark? So we're going to break it down. We're going to look at what we hope happens, what could happen, and what has us fearful going forward. Now, Ark needs a win. It's no secret. Player counts have been pretty split. They are not where they would probably like them to be. As a community, things seem like they've been better recently, but as a whole, I'm not sure everybody is as happy with the direction that we're headed. And performance can still be pretty rough on mid-level machines, on consoles. There are definitely some performance gaps that are happening on ASA, and there's still some general bugs, some things that need to be worked out. And then, of course, there's Ark 2, which has been pushed out forever. I personally still don't see Ark 2 for probably till 2028, but I hope I'm totally wrong on that. Right now, they are penciling in 2027 for an Ark 2 launch, but it feels like it's forever. So yeah, we really could use that win. And I think Lost Colony could be the thing that resparks and rekindles the love for Ark. Lost Colony launches December 16th, but it's important to note that the DLC can be purchased now. Players who grab the expansion pass early already get access to a lot of features while waiting for the main map. New creatures, tames, the skill tree system, and some more. So the hype is real, and the content is playable already. And this is being marketed as this huge next step forward. A fresh map, new creatures, a real narrative, new systems, skill trees, basically a brand new direction. And full disclosure, I am a new player. I have jumped into Ark only about 3 years ago. I'm not one of those OGs with thousands and thousands of hours, so I come at it with a fresh perspective, maybe a little less baggage than others. So I am kind of looking at this maybe through not as weary of eyes. I'm also realistic as somebody who's been around gaming for a long time and who's been a part of Ark for the last 3 years. Let's start with the optimistic angle. What Lost Colony can bring to Ark that could breathe fresh air back into this game, the community, and to all of us. First, it's the setting and the story. Lost Colony takes place on Eret Prime, a frozen, futuristic, war-torn city. This isn't a remaster of an old map. This is a brand new chapter that ties together Extinction and Genesis and is the setup for Ark 2. They're bringing back cinematic storytelling, big lore moments, major voice talent, anime cinematics. There's going to be NPCs and NPC raids, maybe a preview to what is coming with Ark 2. New weather, 20 plus creatures, including community voted creatures like the Mega Raptor and Elder Claw. This could be the most story driven Ark experience we've ever had. If this is done well, it will, or it could, fundamentally change how we play this game. This is the bridge between here and what they want to do with Ark 2, making it a Souls-like game with story and immersion and a very deep lore. And let's talk gameplay. What actually changes when Lost Colony hits? And how big could this be? Right now, we have zero gameplay from in-game. Everything's trailers, teasers, and those early pass perks like the skill tree that you can test today. But from what Wildcard share, this isn't just a new map, it's an overhaul. With dynamic NPC outposts popping up across the city and beyond that you can raid for loot, defend if they counterattack, these bases could evolve over time. With a good launch, we genuinely could bring players back to the fold. When Ark has momentum, the game feels alive. YouTube gets more content. The creators, especially small creators like myself, have an opportunity to be a part of something new, and it just creates a lot of energy for the game. And as the communities pick up, the whole ecosystem benefits. Lost Colony has that potential to be that spark. And hype is building. The Osadon is dropping for people with that have pre-ordered. X has a bunch of parody accounts and new character counts that are fun, creating a new area of roleplay within the game. The community feels like it's leaning in a positive direction. And I'd say everybody's pretty hyped for what is coming. So yeah, there is absolutely a path where Lost Colony revives Ark. The ingredients, everything is there. But, and this is a but that I say, hoping none of this happens, but we have to be realistic here. There's the other side. And honestly, this is probably where the community's anxieties come from, the negative comments, the things that are going to happen. It comes from this. It's the history. We know what Snail Games has done. The shutting down of ASE's official server support. The forcing of ASA out onto the community when the game was absolutely not ready. The abysmal performance we got early on, and some are still experiencing today. This game still struggles at times, on mid-range machines especially, and I notice it on console and on my Xbox for sure. The frame rate isn't always great. There's some stuttering. There are moments where the game doesn't look really good. Even on my high-end PC, I can tell you at times it doesn't look really great. At moments, it looks phenomenal, but there are moments where it's not working. There's cheating, the server crashes, there's a lot of things out there performance-wise that make you have to wonder if this DLC drops and it's not ready and it's buggy and laggy and doesn't look good, will it be diminishing the potential that is there? Imagine adding a dense futuristic map with underground bunkers and AI behaviors and NPCs and full of narrative layer. Is it going to be able to perform on launch day? Because if it's not, that's going to kill the hype instantly. Players are not going to stick around if this game does not run properly. And of course, there's the monetization. We're already in the gray area of play to win, the situation with PvP, but I think there's also some questions around the pre-order, the paywall, showing characters that creatures you don't have access to but are in the game. I did a whole video, I rage quit on it because of a Drakeling just kept killing me. And it did feel like a billboard. It does feel like it. And they consistently seem to be doing that map after map after map. And what is going to come after Lost Colony? Is there going to be other creatures that we have to pay for in addition to this map? Are we getting what we're paying for? The $29.99 to me at the surface, it does feel like you get a lot. And you're getting a lot before the map drops. So even if there's a delay, which we'll talk about in a second, even if there is a delay, you still have access to a lot of the content. So it might be one of those times where it's worth pre-ordering. And then there's the gameplay. And this is a concern that I think some in the community have when it comes to how much is actually going to change from the good old sandbox days of what we loved to Lost Colony, a story-rich experience with Souls-like combat. I know this is just a taste. This is just dipping our toe into it as we move down towards Ark 2. But are we going into a great direction, or are we leaving what we love? We don't know because we haven't gotten any in-game footage. We're less than a month from release. We haven't seen a combat demo. We haven't seen an AI demo. We haven't seen any of the map. We don't know how big it's going to be. There's a lot of questions. All we've seen are a couple cinematic trailers, a dossier, not a whole lot. And it's a little bit concerning, especially for a game that's known for rocky launches and we are only a month away. However, track record aside, they do tend to keep these things close to vest until launch. We have, I want to say it's 4 more crunches, maybe 5 more crunches till this game is supposed to launch. I mean, it's basically 1 month away from the time of recording this. So there is a few chances for us to get more, and hopefully we will continue to be spoon-fed or drip-fed some of this content that we need to see to continue to build the hype up and continue to get those pre-orders rolling. And of course, there is still the track record and the risk of delay. Wildcard and Snail have a history of releasing content that feels rushed or incomplete. ASA itself was a terrible launch. Many of the old DLCs were rocky at launch. And when you combine that with Snail's push for monetization, there's a real fear they're trying to rush the DLC out because they need the revenue. And finally, what if the DLC is just shallow? Maybe the story is short. Maybe the map isn't as complex as promised. Maybe the skill trees end up being limited. Maybe the creatures don't really change that much. If the DLC doesn't have depth, the hype won't last long. And hype can be one of the most challenging things for a game. Because when you're excited for a game and you're hyped for the game, your expectations go through the roof. And when it happens, you can only really be let down. And that is why a lot of game developers are very careful of sharing too much information early, because they don't want to overhype a game and then underdeliver. Look at a game like No Man's Sky, one of my favorite games. That game got so much hype in its pre-release phase. Borderline lies were told about the game that it could only be disappointing when it did finally launch. Now they have completely redeemed themselves, but in those moments, a lot of players, myself included, were a little bit disappointed. So when this launches, if there's a ton of hype and it's not, doesn't have a strong performance or isn't what we think, then the hype could kill the freshness of what we're hoping to get with Lost Colony. But the biggest red flag is what we haven't seen yet. We are starting to see more information recently, but it's being drip fed. We don't know how the story missions actually work. We don't know how big the map is. We don't know how the AI behaves, and we don't know the structure of the endgame. But with that, this is my honest take. Will Lost Colony save Ark? Here's where I land. Lost Colony can absolutely save Ark. You could argue with me that whether it actually needs to be saved or not, that it's already in a good place or growing or at least trending in the right direction. But this is the one map, the moment, the thing that I think most veterans and even newer players like myself just absolutely have been yearning for. New content. This is not a reskin of an old map or a redesign or a rebuild. This is new. This is the first new content to come with ASA. The concept is strong. The features are exciting. The creatures, what we've seen, look great. I don't like the Drakelings, but that aside, they look great. This story could be a turning point. The gameplay could change this game in a positive way. But the execution here has to be strong. The performance of this map at launch needs to be good. It needs to be better than what we've seen from some of the past maps. The optimization needs to be there. I will say I'm encouraged watching Ragnarok and Valguero and playing those recently on my computer, but I did play some of those on my sister's computer, and I was a little bit less encouraged by the optimization on a lower end rig that is within spec for the game. It just is a lower end. The content needs depth. The monetization cannot be predatory. And most importantly, the players need to feel like this content is to drive the story forward, not just something to generate more revenue. And I'm pretty confident that that is going to be the case, that this story will have been developed well and really land for the Ark players. So right now I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm leaning hopeful, but I have my reservations. There is so much potential here. I genuinely want this DLC to succeed. But honestly, until we see the gameplay, see some in-game footage, I would love to see a trailer for this map before the launch window would be great. But my last biggest concern is a delay. I would not be shocked if this is delayed till January. They've been pushing the date. And when I say pushing the date, they've been advertising the date. So I do have some sense that they're feeling pretty confident about it. But I do worry that we are in the holiday period, that if any delays, unless it's a day or two, which generally almost every map has a day or two delay as we get right into the final weeks. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we get into, okay, it's supposed to be on the 16th and then it's the 18th, 19th. If you get into that 20th, well, they're going to be on holiday when the map is dropped, and they're not going to have as many people working on patches and fixing the game that's going to inherently always has issues those first week. I just hope that doesn't get delayed to January, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm optimistic, but I'm also cautious that that could still happen. So this has the power to absolutely revive this game, to bring it back, to give it back to its former glory. But it also has the potential to really hurt and continue to fracture or divide. So guys, I'm curious from you. What do you think? I'm sure you've got the hype bug. I'm pretty hyped for it. In fact, I'm not a big fan of pre-ordering or pre-buying game content, but I will probably get this one, especially because of all the things you get now. But I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be great for Ark. I think I think ASA needed this from day one and not 2 years later. I really feel like this is what it needed. ASA really needed new content from the beginning. I still stand beside my statement that if we could have put this out on day one and then brought in all of the other maps, ASA would be in a much stronger position today. But guys, if you're new here and you haven't done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button, throw up those thumbs. Tell me, what do you think of this content? What do you think of Lost Colony? Are you excited? Are you concerned? Is it going to bring you back? Do you think this has the potential to get those numbers back to their former glory? But guys, like I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. We got a lot more content coming. I'm currently working on my final attempt of my Survivor Man for the Swamp, so that'll be coming soon. I'm talking about doing a stream again, or getting at least a couple streams going. I haven't played live in a long time. I've got my ASA playthrough started. I've got my ASE, the island, that I'm almost done with. So there's a lot more coming. A lot more to come on this channel. Of course, we're going to continue to talk about Lost Colony. Hopefully there's not a delay video that has to be made soon. But guys, I'm so excited for this. I really do think this is what we need. And until next time, have a great day.